welcome back. Episode 9 of the Dadletics Podcast. We are your hosts, Tyler Smith,
Pat McSweeney,
Dr. Pat. Today is going to be all things Dr. Pat and his fitness journey. And I think it's going to be a great story to tell as he just accomplished maybe his biggest race, goal race ever in your life. Looking at some of the guys and females that did the race, former NCAA runners.
Yeah.
The girl that won it swam at Ohio State. The guy that won your age group was a Division I basketball player.
Yeah.
Overheard you talk about a little imposter syndrome pre-race.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I have you 16th place in your age group, a 1:10:10 overall time, a 11:59 swim, a 33:35 bike, and a 2019 5K run at the end. How do we get to this point? So let's rewind.
Yeah.
And Pat McSweeney,
Man,
when he's younger, where are we at from a fitness journey?
yeah. So, I mean, growing up, I played everything. Was in something all the time from the time I was, 5 or 6 till through high school. Baseball, basketball, soccer.
And siblings, you're
2 brothers. I'm the middle.
1 of 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, shout out to my parents. I don't know how they did it with 3 boys and, in sports and in multiple things at once. Somehow it always felt like they were at the field. They were always at our games, which I don't know how, but that is amazing knowing what I know now and appreciating that very much now at this point. But yeah, so it was in stuff from the time I was 5 or 6. Again, it was anything under the sun from soccer, baseball, basketball, football, swimming. I did swim summer league growing up. 1 year of club swimming in the winter time, but that was when I was maybe 11 or 12. As I got into high school, pared that down to football. I wrestled my freshman year, I've literally done most everything, and then was on the bowling team for 3 years, and then baseball was all 4 years. That was my focus for that time.
So baseball and football were you pretty much focused during high school.
Yep. And was not really a runner. I played defensive line in high school, so I was 70-ish pounds heavier than I am now. And it wasn't a well put together 260 pounds. There was some sloppiness to it.
So were we... I always joke about how we grew up and how we ate. I mean, breakfast was Little Debbie's and fruity cereal.
Yep.
And it wasn't just one Little Debbie; it was always 2. I have no idea why. It wasn't just one oatmeal pie; it was 2 oatmeal pies.
Ours were Nutter Butters. My mom would go to the Hostess outlet, and we would get Nutter Butters and Swiss cake rolls were the big things.
And it's funny how, again, maybe it's just me, how I would deconstruct those too. So the Nutter Butters, I'd take layers off, the layers off, lick the peanut butter.
Yep.
The Swiss rolls, if you break the sides, you could untwist it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Same.
Yeah. It's
funny. So all those 90 kids out there,
we were
leave
with
a comment.
Friends a couple weekends ago, and we were somehow got on the topic of toaster strudels. And that was a big thing in our house growing up. For breakfast was toaster strudel, and my older brother would always take 2 icing packets. So if you ever had your sibling take too many icing packets, I want to comment below. But we were reminiscing, and we ended up getting a couple boxes of them just to try them again. Still very good. Still as sugary as ever, but absolutely delicious.
So fine.
But yeah. So, as far as sports and things like that goes, I mean, that was a big thing from the time we were growing up. And always again, was in something throughout the years. But I never thought it would translate into endurance sports. Nobody in our family was a runner. We joke that we have McSweeney speed, which is not speed at all. So never was a big runner. I mean, honestly, a lot of how that came to fruition was to try to lose weight. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm curious, how good were we at football and baseball in high school? What was
Yeah, there's probably some. I want to maybe dive into that a little bit more. Like, I think I was always decent. Like, I feel like things came fairly naturally, not like a freak by any means, but was always like good and competent and that sort of thing. But
what was your strongest suit? Like, if you had to say, like, if someone had to put like one characteristic of you as an athlete,
honestly, it probably would be like skill to some degree, as far as like hand-eye coordination and those types of things always came fairly easy. My freshman year of college, I picked up club lacrosse, and that was like the comment was just like, I mean, like throwing and catching lacrosse is something that kids practice from the time they were little. That came pretty easily for me.
Were you a hard worker?
No, and that's like, I think that's like what I wanted to dive into. Why I think I'm like driven with some of this stuff now is because I feel like I left some things on the table. Like, I don't think I ever truly reached my potential from an athletic standpoint.
So high school sports was just, let's just have fun.
Yeah. And like, I mean,
no ambition to...
off season was not particularly like rigorous or dialed in. Like, I was in different sports and stuff like that, but like there was no carryover from season to season where I'm like in the weight room to train for the next season or that sort of thing.
Were academics important?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was always.
Were you? So I just grew up. It was more sports first, school second, mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to have a moment in college where it's like, okay, let's switch this, let's flip this a little bit. As what Cardell Jones say, we're not.
We didn't come here to play school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I was always, like school-wise, again, maybe not the hardest worker, but I didn't have to necessarily, but it was always like that came more naturally for me. It was like that was like my comfort zone, I think, was the classroom. Like, always did fairly well and that sort of thing. In sports were, I think, like I liked being active, like playing sports, liked like my hanging out with my friends and stuff like that in high school. So I think it was more like that for me from a high school standpoint. But yeah, I think that's something I look back on now as far as like what's a big motivator for me, and I think it's reaching my true potential, like as an athlete. And I think it's too late to reach my full potential, but I do think that's a big piece of what drives me now.
Okay, so we go to college, pick up lacrosse freshman year.
Mm-hmm. That was just one year thing, just testing it out again. Just wanted to be active, but that was honestly like when I got to be my heaviest. Probably was like freshman year of college, which is the classic. Yeah, like playing sports fairly year round, pretty much from the time I was little through high school. Didn't stop eating like that, but didn't have the same activity level that I did back then.
And what school?
I started at Xavier, and then ultimately transferred to Ohio State. So, so that first year was down in Cincinnati at Xavier. And then basically it was my first semester, freshman year of college. I came home for Christmas break and I saw a picture of myself from Thanksgiving break. I was like, holy shit, like that is not me. And it was like a side profile, like least flattering view possible. But that was when I was like, all right, I gotta do something about this. And that was like that next semester would run to the gym most days of the week, would run, swim, lift, like, at that time you have way more time than you know what to do with. So,
do you remember what like programs you were following? Because
no, there was no program.
I just remember the information we had in college there just wasn't much. Like, I think I was going off like bodybuilding.com.
Yeah, like
I would search some forums, but there wasn't a ton of information. Out there.
There was
about nutrition or
buddy of mine I would lift with regularly, and we would do like the same 5 lifts basically, like dumbbell bench and tricep pull downs and stuff like that. And then I mean, running at that point was literally just like I would run from my dorm room to the gym and then run back. And then I got back in the pool at that point, and would swim, but like, again, didn't have any plan. I was just swimming until I got tired, and then.
And what was nutrition at that point?
I mean, cafeteria pizza. When you go from like somewhat of a structure at home to like, you can have anything you want from this cafeteria and you just have to swipe your card. Man, that's dangerous. Especially for me. Like, you got burgers, pizza, sandwiches available every single day. I mean, that was what my diet consisted of. Especially that first half of the year. Second half of the year I did actually start to like dial that in a little bit more. Not like regimented, but would just, probably wasn't the healthiest thing, but I was just eating like a salad and like a, like deli sandwich or something like that was what I would go with, and then like nothing else as far as like lunch goes. We had like an omelet station in college, so I'd get an omelet in the morning, which was delicious.
There you go.
But yeah, that's kind of how like that second semester, like that transition. I mean, I was definitely just like intentionally under eating to try to like restrict stuff as much as I could to try to lose that weight.
Yeah.
So, and I just didn't know any better.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. I would say that college is where I started cooking and enjoying that, and at that time is when I was getting into protein. I knew the benefits of that. I didn't understand macros or that information as much, but I was given a nutritionist that we could take advantage of, which I did. So later, like towards the back in like senior year, I think in college, I was able to work with her and start to learn a little bit more information and taking in all the carbs. I remember she was trying to put muscle on us. And again, for those who maybe don't know, I played baseball at Cincinnati, so that's when I say I was offered a nutritionist. Hence, and to get the carbs in, I was drinking a full I think they were gallon sizes of the Simply juice, orange juice. I was taking that to class. I was drinking one of those a day.
All right.
I definitely ballooned up, but I was really never overweight per se.
Okay.
In college.
Yeah.
But anyways, not to distract. So
no. Yeah.
Okay, so we're get through college at this point. Still pretty much doing the same.
Towards the end of college is when I started to get more. Like I said, I would run like to the gym, back from the gym, and I saw running as like a way to lose weight. Like when I was in grade school, I would run with like a full sweatsuit on to make weight for football so I could run the ball. So that's, again, like I think that was what was programmed in my brain was like, okay, this is a way to continue to keep the weight off and continue to lose the weight. In that time, let's see, probably 2011, I think I ran my first half marathon.
Okay.
And then did a couple after that. Like I think I did Flying Pig, then Columbus, then Cap City.
All halves?
Mm-hmm.
Or you remember your times?
I think my very first ever was like a 149 maybe?
Wow.
Which was better than,
that's really
it was
good.
Decent. And then I got worse. Like I was like, that was the one I trained, probably the most trained, I use in quotation marks, the most for, and then it subsequently just got like worse after that. I'll shout out my wife. 2012, we both ran, we didn't know each other at the time. We both ran, I think it was Columbus, and she actually beat me. I think it was like a 150. I ran like 155. She ran like 152 or something like that. But she will literally never let me live that down.
I know. I hope not. I'm not gonna let you down. Nobody. You should have. Everybody's gonna.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not ashamed. But yeah, so that was kind of how that was like the first foray into endurance sports, and I think I did a sprint try somewhere along that pathway or somewhere along that time too. But again, then after that, went to PT school, and kind of went back to just like weightlifting and not being quite as active.
Just surviving school.
Yeah. So So then it wasn't again until like 2019 that I got like back into it.
Okay. And kids, no kids at that point?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's 2019?
Yeah, so graduated PT school in 2016. And my wife and I started dating pretty shortly after that.
Was there any motivation from PT? Like, was there...
As far as like...
Was it one of those, like... Again, I have no idea what they teach at PT school.
Yeah.
But is it one of those... You start understanding the body a little bit more... And again, I'm assuming you're starting to see more and more athletes through the school, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you think there's any connection of interest level of like, oh, I worked with so-and-so, that's kind of a cool thing that they're doing. I kind of understand the process a little bit more now.
It's funny, like, I mean, I think it's getting better, but I think the emphasis on like overall fitness in in PT school was not very big, like, honestly. I mean, like, a lot of my classmates were former athletes or that sort of thing, so like we would work out together, but the overall like focus on like being overall healthy and fit was really not there, I would say, in a lot of ways, and that's getting better. Like, I think there's more of a push now from like the physical therapy world to like focus on that fitness and that sort of thing more. But
same thing if I'm talking like prehab, the idea of being like prehab, because again, I don't think that was ever a thing, right? It was like, wait till you get hurt, then we'll fix the problem.
Right.
Where I feel like that shift in, I would say probably 2015 to 2020 was, well, let's get ahead of that, right? What are the things that we can do now to prevent that injury? Or is that kind of, has that switched in?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, believe it or not, I mean, there's so many hotly debated things in any field, but there's a camp of people that'll tell you you're never going to prevent all the injuries, so it's not worth your time, which I would not agree with. There's another camp that's like, oh, if you do my specific program, you'll never have an injury, and that's not real either. I think we can do things to like mitigate the risk of injuries happening. We can be smart in our training and work on areas of weakness and things like that. But yeah, I would say that shift is probably more prevalent now. But definitely, like you said, in that time frame was starting to push towards.
Yeah, well, I just look at it just with my dad in general, and you know, that the baby boomers, you know, they're starting to have maybe overuse injuries, and it's like, yeah, but I'm doing things now for, you know, knees, hips, or whatever it might be, that just, you guys just have the knowledge. It wasn't their fault. You know, you talk about, you know, what we had in the early 2000s was limited. Right. Think about these baby boomers that had nothing. I mean, pretty much the only thing my dad had at the time growing up was muscle and fitness magazines. Yeah. And I think that's why there was so much taboo on strength training for athletics, because you look at the magazines and it was all these, you know, doped up bodybuilders, and they're giving their programs, and it's like, well, that's not what an athlete should look like, so we're not going to be doing this strength training. Right. And obviously we've evolved since then and understood that. But yeah, so it's like I'm doing things now just to hopefully prevent, you know, when I'm 60, 70 years old. So it's come a long ways.
You know, I mean, I feel like a lot of folks that I see now want to blame like current injuries on what they did 40 years ago. This is going to sound harsh, but a lot of it's like they just haven't done anything in 40 years. And so, I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but the number of people that I see that are like, well, yeah, I played football when I was 15, and that's got to be why my knee hurts now. Like, that's not, probably, most likely not why your knee hurts now. Okay. But yeah, I think, to your point, like, the knowledge that we have and like the ability to dial things in more from like a fitness standpoint, a programming standpoint, the sleep, nutrition, like all of that stuff is pushing the whole fitness world forward.
I mean, it's pretty much at our fingertips now. Yeah. And a lot of research to back it up.
Yeah.
So it's exciting times in that aspect.
For sure.
Okay, so we dabble into our first try post-college. Was that, what was the feelings after that first try? Was that like this is fun? Because I remember when I did CrossFit for this first time, it took years to like convince myself to do CrossFit, and I finally did it. And after my first workout, I was like, oh yeah, this is cool.
It's interesting. Like I feel like that time, like end of college, like going into PT school, I feel like was a time that just like, I don't know, for some reason it was difficult for me, just like that transition and those types of things. And I feel like I found endurance sports like in that time frame. And it was funny, like fast forward to like 2019 when I kind of picked it back up again, was kind of like a interesting time. Like after my wife and I got married, I took a 6-month residency type of thing, placement out of state.
Okay.
And so that was a time like, again, was kind of like just like within myself and like kind of had a lot of time to think, and that was kind of what led me back down the road of like endurance sports. And I think to me, like that has been a driving force throughout, the last 5 or 6 years I've been doing this more consistently, is like the mental piece, the clarity, I guess, as far as those things go. And it's just funny, like that happened in like 2011 to 2013, and then found it again later on. So I would say like early on, it wasn't like I was hooked from the beginning, but I guess with a little more wisdom, 7 years later was like, oh, this is something I want to have in my life regularly.
So what do you mean? So when you said out of state, like you went solo?
Yeah.
You were by yourself?
Mm-hmm. We had just gotten married, like, let's see, I left like beginning of 2019. We had just gotten married in October of 2018. But she was like so supportive and on board.
So what were your feelings? Because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. At one point, I lived in Chicago and pretty much was by myself, didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of different feelings and thoughts. So
totally.
Were you like, again, you share whatever you want to share.
Yeah.
Like, where was your headspace, and then how did that connect, and how did endurance like maybe fill that void?
Yeah, I think in retrospect, I can definitely say like that point, like that 6 months. I mean, I was working a ton. I mean, and I think honestly, like, and the same probably goes for like PT school time, but there's probably some like depression going on. I would say, like, very candidly, like I was away from my wife, I was away from my family.
Out of state,
like 8 hours away from home.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah,
it's wild when you're just out of Ohio. You're like, this. I don't feel like I'm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we know like the power of connectedness and relationships when it comes to health, and so it's not surprising that when you're taken out of your normal environment around the people that you like love the most and are, care about the most, you're not the healthiest, or like you don't feel like the healthiest, even if it's subconscious. Like, and I think it was for me at that time. Like, I don't think I would have identified that in the moment, but in retrospect, I can definitely say like that was probably the case.
Okay, so what did you start doing then?
So in 2019, I did my first half Ironman.
Okay, so when you're out of state by yourself, you're like, okay, let me pick a goal. Let me pick something that I can kind of dive into.
Yep. And so that was, I just like poured myself into that. And it was, from a training standpoint, like the only time I've ever dealt with like a very significant injury. Because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was just trying to do all the things, and again, in retrospect, like now knowing more than I did then, I think I probably had some type of like sacral stress fracture,
which is
so your tailbone. So would basically, like, the symptoms I was having, I would run, and after 5 minutes I would get like screaming pain down my leg, to the point where like I couldn't run more than maybe 5 or 10 minutes before I was just like, I gotta walk, I gotta like take some load off of this. And again, I think being out of my environment like had something to do with that. But it was like so that race was in September of 2019. I was in New Jersey from beginning of 2019 to July, I think it was. So then did that race. After that race, then like healed up, started doing what I should have been doing all along from like a just taking care of myself standpoint. So yeah.
So I know one of our Dadletics members, Granger, is getting ready to do I believe his first half Ironman as well. Going back, if you can remember, you say weren't doing things correctly. Do you remember or recall like what was like one of the biggest mistakes maybe you made?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was in my like running. I was trying to basically ramp up my volume way too quickly. That was like the time I had learned about like zone 2 training basically. And I think honestly, like to some degree at that point, like I was doing more harm than good in some ways. It's going to sound funny, but my cadence slowed down enough. I was running slow enough. I was spending enough time on the ground and I was heavy at that point that I think I was like hurting myself by not being able to like turn over a little bit quicker. So, I mean, I think that, again, this is all in retrospect, and I think that's kind of what was happening. But that was like the biggest thing, I think, is I just ramped up my volume way too quickly. And yeah,
that's a big undertaking. I mean, I can't imagine, people going couch to marathon. I can't imagine people going from, not couch, but like not doing much of it. I mean, half Ironman's no joke.
Yeah.
It's not I'm glad Granger, it seems like it's going to take a year to get there. But
which I think will be
that's funny, but to think some people do, like, I'm going to do a 3-month, 6 month, and
that's essentially what I did. Was like, I mean, and I did CrossFit from like 2017 to around that time. So I wasn't out of shape.
Sure. It's so different.
But I was heavier for sure. Like I was probably 30, 40 pounds heavier than I am now.
Do you remember what your zone 2 pace was?
Like 10, probably like 10:30, 10:15, 10:30.
I only say that because everybody always comments about my zone 2 runs now, which are, 8 30-minute mile paces. And I just remember when I started running in 2023, it was one of those like moments where I was like, I'm going to trust the research, trust the process, put my ego to the side, and I'm just going to stick to that truly zone 2. I think I was 11:30s.
Yeah.
Slow.
Yep.
So for those listeners out there that are just getting started, or literally you just got to put your ego to the side. And every 3 months it seemed like I got a little bit quicker. And then within a year I was down into the 9s. And then now I'm anywhere from 7:45 to 8:15 really.
Yeah. And that's I think that's a great like example of the consistency you've put in over that time. Like that only happens from being consistent for 100% for years at this point. Like it's not going to happen in a month. So yeah, and I think at that time I was like expecting it to get a little bit better. So I was probably overrunning, but yeah. Anyway, so that race, like, probably still to this day one of my favorite races I've ever done. Just from like a venue standpoint, the memories. My parents came, Megan was there, and like I can still picture like crossing the finish line. Felt like I like teared up because I was like, man, this was like a big undertaking and something that really shifted just like how I was taking care of myself and like what was probably building the habits that I'm still keeping to this day.
And my math is right, you're about 31 at this point.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, give or take, 31-ish. Yeah. 30. I think.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
I feel those emotions of, especially coming from maybe what emotionally maybe rock bottom for you.
Yeah, totally.
Especially if, based off of how you were in high school and, just enjoying life.
Yeah.
To feel that and then to feel that accomplishment is cool. And I can see now the addiction. So now I can see where the next 7 years come into play and why these systems are so important to you.
Yeah.
Were you at that point, because again, a half Ironman, you have to be training morning, night.
Yeah.
Back up a little bit. Were you always a morning person?
I've always been a morning person.
Okay. So that was never...
Yeah, that's never been an issue. Like, I've always been, like, early to bed, early to rise. Like, throughout school, I would always rather wake up early and study or do a piece of homework versus stay up later. Yeah. So, my mom likes to tell a story that there was one time at a sleepover that I asked the parents of the kid I was staying at their house if there was somewhere quiet I could go to sleep because everybody else was still up and I'm ready to go to bed. So that's always been like the running joke in my family. But yeah, mornings have never been a problem for me. So yeah, I mean, during that time, again, was living alone and was able to train, a decent amount. But from like a performance standpoint, because I couldn't really run, like dealing with that injury, like my run was terrible compared to what I could potentially do.
Okay.
And that's fast forwarded now.
Yeah, so we go from half Ironman. So then what's the next 6 or 7 years then?
Yeah, so basically right after that race, again, across the finish line, felt this like insane sense of accomplishment.
Signed right back up.
Yep. And if you're doing the math at home, the next year was COVID. So signed up for Traverse City 70.3, which was supposed to be in September the following year. And like trained hard. Like I put in a lot of work for that. And then I think in, probably June it got canceled. Almost every Ironman branded race in that year got canceled.
I think every race.
There was a couple. Yeah, there was a couple that happened. I think like Florida happened and maybe one like Arizona, but otherwise they all got canceled.
Yeah, I just remember people like marathon training and then it's like canceled. Okay, what's the next one? They sign up.
Yep.
Canceled. Yeah.
Yep. So that I was gearing up for that, was training way better, and then got canceled, which was not fun, but that deferred me into the following year. They changed the location. It wasn't Traverse City, it was Frankfort, Michigan, which again was one of my, like, is high up on my list as far as like race venues. Like it's a cool like lake town if you've never been up that way. It's like 45 minutes away from Traverse City, northern part of like the lower peninsula of Michigan. But that was the following September. So that was my second race, second 70.3. And I PR'd by over an hour on that race. So I think the first one was like 6:20 something. And the next one, like that 2 years later, was 5:27 or something like that. So big like jump in performance. And that was when I started to feel like I was getting some momentum from like a training standpoint and performance standpoint.
So from 20 to 24, like your main goal every year was the half Ironman.
Yep. And then in 22, so let's see, 21 I did Traverse City, Frankfurt. 22 was the year I was going to do a full Ironman. And found out, let's see, I probably signed up for that. I signed up for Ironman Wisconsin shortly after completing that one in Michigan. There's a trend here. So I signed up for that. It was supposed to be in June that following year, and that was like a big deal. So Ironman Wisconsin is one of the longest standing races in North America, and it's been in September every year. They tried to move it to June. I don't remember why, but there was such an uproar that they had this like June date set, and they moved it back to September. Well, fast forward, that was when we got pregnant with our first son, which he was due in August. And so Megan's like, you can do this, but it can't be in September. So that put me, there was not a lot of choices, but Des Moines, Iowa was on the list for that. And so transferred my registration to Des Moines.
And there was a couple of you guys did that one.
Yep. So Mike Gold did it, and then Danny Valley, and Greg Fletcher. So 4 guys from Grandview.
So were you at the gym then?
Yep.
This is 22?
Yep. So I started with affiliate at CrossFit Grandview in beginning of 21.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So you got to know those guys there.
Yep. So, so there was a group of us that went out and did it.
And what are we learning along the way? Like, what are things that you're like dialing in that you're getting better at?
Yeah,
Highlights.
I think training was starting to get more structured for sure. Was just trying to become a student of the sport. So like listening to every podcast and things like that I could to try to learn more about how to perform better. So at that point, like Morton nutrition was starting to become a big thing. So started to put
probably
that
carbohydrates in general, right?
Yep. So higher carb was starting to become like a little bit more well known. So yeah, I guess overall it was partly that nutrition, partly just like training in general was getting more consistent, better structure. So yeah, so that was 22 was like the big race then, and then had first son in August that year.
I was gonna say, because I mean it's just time.
Yeah.
And do you remember how many hours you were putting in a week of total training?
I think I peaked at 15 for like
15 hours.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not doing that with kids.
No. So yeah, I mean that was like, I knew it was going to be kind of like a, not last hurrah, but for a little while wasn't going to be able to do something.
For the
really
full.
good.
For
yeah.
the full.
Yeah. So yeah, did that, and then following year, somehow convinced Megan to let me sign up for Wisconsin 70.3. So again, that was kind of like what I focus on for 4 years in a row, was those longer distance tries. And so signed up for that, and again in that time, like talking about what got better, like that was probably the best training block up to that point that I'd ever put in. The most consistent, the most like best structure, led to like another pretty big PR in that like half Ironman distance. And to this day is probably like one of my best ever, like from start to finish races.
And then I'm interested to see how this connects with your PT and your professional life I feel like you kind of got this in like, not stigma, but like people are like, oh, you're an endurance athlete, you should see Dr. Pat. Did your clientele change, or did you see any change with like the connection between the two?
I think because I started with affiliate in 21, like that was kind of, I feel like I was already kind of identifying like in that sense, like that was what I was doing regularly. Was still doing CrossFit or lifting to some degree, but that was definitely my area of focus from that time. So I think in that sense, like that was kind of where I gravitated towards, and subsequently like where like patients and clients would gravitate towards in that sense.
Yeah, and I like that because I remember we've been kind of high rocks curious, and a lot of your reasoning is like, I'm starting to see high rocks clients or patients, and I want to experience that so I can talk to them.
Totally.
And I can appreciate that from a patient-doctor connection. So, yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have the piece, like it's running and it's, all these different movements, and like I've done all of those things before, but to put those all together is a very different animal. So like being able to strategize around that, what kind of injuries are we dealing with, that sort of thing. So yeah, I definitely at some point am gonna convince you to do one of those.
And also going back for those that listened a couple episodes ago about living life with fitness, and you had mentioned Megan, and it's, she comes to you and say, hey, what do you have to do this week? I feel like now we as an audience can understand why she's like that, because she went through that tough time with you.
Yeah.
And understand like this endurance aspect of your life is critical.
Important. Yeah.
Is important.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to connect the dots.
Totally.
With that.
Yeah. And I think, we'll 100% say like without her like support, none of like I couldn't have done any of these things. So she's been there literally every step of the way, like every single one of these races, and my parents too. I think they've come to every Ironman, half Ironman since 2019, and they were there this weekend in Milwaukee, which was really cool.
Yeah, and we can't highlight that enough of like, if you have a significant other and being on the same page,
Yeah.
Even with this, I mean, my marathon training is not, I mean, I may be putting in 9 hours a week, but there's times where my wife, Meg, has to sacrifice or be home because I have to go for, 2.5 hour run.
Right.
And that is a sacrifice. Or I'm sleeping by 8:15 because I have to get up at 4:20 for a run.
Yep.
That's a sacrifice, not only on me, but on her.
Yeah.
And I recognize that. I see that. So you as the runner, as the triathlete, like, you have to recognize that out of your significant other and appreciate them.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, she, like, again, she makes that all possible. And, like, from the very first time, like, I signed up for one of these races, like, has been supportive. Now, there's been conversations where we're like, hey, that's probably not doable this year. And, like, I think I have gotten better at recognizing, like, what is realistic from, like, a training standpoint and what am I willing to, like, sacrifice from, like, just like personal time? Because I know, like, training is a big chunk of the personal time that I'm going to get. And that's partly why I've gone, like, down in distance, is, like, I don't want to make that sacrifice to be like, okay, I know I'm going to need this many hours. And could I do it? Yeah, but it's going to be a big strain on Megan and a big strain on just, like, my own mental health, because I'm not going to have time to do other things. So that's kind of where things have shifted at this point with 2 kiddos now.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So we finish Wisconsin, and then we should be getting close to
Yep. We did
the
one
qualifier.
Yeah, we did one more 70.3. My brother wanted to do one, so in 24 we did one in Chattanooga, and that was fun just to, like, get to see him do it, and the first one he did, and he's itching to try to do another one at some point. So yeah, that was kind of like when I shifted from triathlon more specifically, to starting to focus a little bit more on running. I think that's kind of the time that we started to connect a little bit more too.
I remember connecting a little bit in the gym.
Yeah.
I remember, I thought it was fall of 2024 when I did Columbus half. You were doing
I did
the
full. Yeah. Yep. And that was, I did the full that year, and our second son was born, the end of that year.
And you didn't fully commit to that.
Not really. I mean,
from a running standpoint, right? You just pretty much use your endurance training plan and just said, hey, I'm fit enough, I can go run.
Right.
And you ran a 3:24. 3:24.
Yeah. And so I was happy with that to some degree, but I knew in the back of my mind, like, there's still more on the table for me.
The half Ironmans, it's just a half marathon.
Half marathon.
It's a half marathon. Okay.
Yep.
So at that point, was this your first marathon?
No, I did a marathon before Des Moines in 22. I did the Glass City in 2022.
Would you run that?
3:37, 3:38.
Okay,
like that.
So a huge PR for that full.
But yeah, so that was, I mean, like, end of 24 was like that marathon, having baby number 2. So I was like, okay, I'm going to, after this race, kind of dial things back a little bit again. And that was kind of when, like, that following year, like last year, was when I started to do more of, like, the sprint distance, from a race standpoint, and then half marathon. So that was where I qualified at the end of last year, in, where was that? At Deer Creek State Park.
Okay. And to qualify, again, I can't remember if we talked about this, would you have to finish, like, top?
So it's top 2 in your age group, or I think it's top 2 in your age group or top 15%, like, whichever is greater, I think. So it's not the hardest, like, if you look at, like, Kona qualification or qualifying for 70.3, like, half Ironman World Championships, like, those are definitely more rigorous from a qualification standpoint. But it's still, like, a thing to qualify for, and definitely from a level of racing standpoint was by far the highest, like most competitive race I've ever done.
Yeah, again, as I started the podcast and listening to some of these backgrounds, I mean, some heavy hitters, some definitely big athletes, former athletes.
Yeah. man, like, I mean, it didn't take long. Like, I was in transition the morning of, like, getting my bike ready. This guy next to me and I are just, like, chatting, and, you know, he's like, you know, we're just asking each other, like, how, you know, how's this going to go? What's your goal? Like, kind of thing. And he's like, oh, you know, I want to be, like, top 5 in my age group, or top 5 in our age group. The bike racks are all the same age group. So I was like, oh, man, all right. I was like, what's your background? And he's like, well, I swam at the University of Michigan. I was like, oh, okay, I've heard of them before. So that, again, like, hearing that, the guy, like, a bike down from him had placed really high overall in the, there was a draft legal sprint, like, 2 days before that. So I was like, man, like, these guys are going to, like, blow me out of the water. And so, again, that's where that imposter syndrome started to creep in. But I think I've always had a decent ability to, like, calm myself down before a race. Like, I'll get nerves, and then 10 or 15 minutes out, I'm just like, this is gonna be fun. Like, I'm good. So I feel like I've always been able to, like, just, like, rein that in and just try to, like, stay within myself from that standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, a race is one thing. I think we get nervous even before some of these workouts.
Yeah, totally.
And for me, it's changed here as I've shifted, again, just perspective of, oh man, I have to go do this, to, man, I get to go do this, right? So standing at the race, it's like, I get to do this. A lot of people don't ever get here, let alone sign up. And I think that change in perspective is huge. But I can see where that imposter syndrome, I mean, it's something I've dealt with. I think we all deal with at some point.
Yeah.
But you just have to realize it's like, yeah, but I earned it here.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't a lottery. I earned it. I'm obviously, from a time standpoint, I can compete. Yeah. And
it was, I mean, I felt it from the beginning of the swim. Like, again, like, as far as logistics go, so this is it was a age group wave start. So everybody in my age group started at the same time. Like, that's how they send everybody off, which is a lot different than, like, Ironman branded races. For those, like, they're like a self-seated start where there's like 2 or 3 people going at a time. Oh. So at the time, like, time trial start.
Yeah. So
this was
getting kicked in the head.
Yeah. This, you're like, there's 50 something people lined up. We jump in the water, your hand on a dock, and then it's like the gun's gonna go off and you just go. I got a great start, like, off of the dock. Like, I found a spot that had, like, a plastic buoy underneath that I could really push off of for that. So I got into clean water, like, right away. And swimming has always been, as far as, like, triathlons go, like, based on triathlon standards, I'm a pretty good swimmer. Like, always finish fairly well as far as, like, percentage wise. So, like, once I got into that, I felt good. I was like, all right, I can do this. And I'll just say, quick, like, aside, that Michigan guy, I beat him out of the water.
There we go.
So I don't know what happened, but
I didn't have the booty to get
out. That's right.
I was just looking at it. Looks like the leader did a 10:20 swim.
Yep. Which is, I mean, it's quick. Like,
and you were 12. You're 11. What did I say? 11:59. Sub 12. Sub 12.
Yeah. No. So, and this is, like, again, I don't know. This is just, like, the athlete competitor in me, and, like, the want to try to always get better. Immediately after the race, I'm like, all right, what can I do to, like, improve and get better? I think my swim could get there, like, to that level pretty, like, within the next year or two. Like, if I would have to put more time in the pool. Like, I'm only swimming really, for the most part, once a week. And I'm looking at these guys' Stravas. Like, there's guys that are averaging, like, the guy who won the whole thing was averaging, I think, like, 20,000 yards a week in the water, and I was averaging, like, 2. So, so there's a big volume discrepancy that I think if I could ramp that up or put a more focused effort in, and again, life gets in the way. This isn't my only thing that I'm focusing on, but
from a race standpoint, the swim, crushed it.
Yeah, went great.
I do have a question about transition. The guy that won it was 148, and you were at 253.
So that's where I lost.
That's a minute.
I lost that time to almost everybody. Like, I'm looking at from 1 to 30 in my age group. I think I had the slowest transition by a good amount of time, which I think is obviously a big area that I could focus on. So yeah, I don't have a great explanation other than I ran slow and took forever getting my wetsuit off. But that is something I will kick myself for a long time, because that was a huge chunk of time. And if you look at like the cluster of times around like where I was, I mean, that was a big part of like the difference between me being 15th, 16th down to like top 10 basically.
Yeah.
And that's just like free, like you don't have to be any fitter to do that. It's just do the little things. So.
All right. So then the bike, you wanted to be around a 22 mile per hour, about 22 and a half. Mm-hmm. So how'd the bike go?
Honestly, that was like the thing I was most surprised by. So in every race that I have done from the time I started triathlon, my bike has always been the biggest weakness. So I would swim pretty well, would get passed all day on the bike, and then try to run people down at the end. If you look at the overall ranking of where my like swim, bike, and run finished like throughout the whole field, my bike was actually my best, which has never happened.
Finally, you upgraded your bike.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely a big part, but like I think the engine has always been there, and that's where I was like, okay, I need to get a new bike because I'm on this old Craigslist aluminum bike, but yeah. So I mean, I think I was like 180 something in the swim overall, 150 something on the bike, and then 180 something on the run.
On the run,
yeah.
Transition was good off the bike.
Yep, moved quickly through that. I think a big piece and something I would change next time is probably not wearing I wore a full wetsuit. A lot of the guys that were at the front were wearing no wetsuit or like a sleeveless, that sort of thing. So I do think from like a taking that off standpoint, there was definitely some time to make up there. And then I also just need to run faster. Like I feel like I get out of the water and I'm like kind of just making my way through, and I need to push that. I need to focus on like pushing that portion of
especially when you're jumping on a bike.
Yeah. But yeah, overall the bike was great. Like the other thing that kind of brought me from feeling like an imposter to feeling like I belong is I don't think I got passed on the bike at all, which was, again, has never happened. Like every race I've done, there's people flying by me and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Because I feel like I'm like pushing hard. This was like the first race where I was picking people off left and right, and age group started, obviously ahead of us, so there was people the whole way. The thing that surprised me the most is I thought there would be more people like around the same like paces as me that I could like follow, like be with throughout the whole race. There was like nobody. We were all kind of spread out. So yeah, it was interesting from that standpoint.
And then run, I thought was the original goal like around a 6:40 minute mile pace was what you wanted?
I think in my like wildest dreams was trying to break 20 minutes. Like that was always,
which is a 6:25.
6:27-ish. So that was like, I was like, I would love to do that. Like I think that would be a big like benchmark. So I was just short of that, unfortunately. But
2019, but again, coming off the bike, that's still impressive. Is that your fastest?
Definitely off the bike, yeah. And the thing I was most proud of was not the time; it was the effort. Like that was the most I could do. Like I feel like I pushed it from the start, and finished.
Look at you finished strong.
Yeah, finished as hard as I could have. And like Megan made a comment about that. She's like, I feel like sometimes when you finish a race, it doesn't look like you're like hurting that much. She's like, it looked like you were hurting this time.
Good.
So
good.
I was and that was like probably my biggest goal for the race in general was just leave it all out there. Like try to go do as best I can.
And I say it all the time. Like it is going to that dark place,
mm-hmm.
which sounds like you went to.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
And it can be difficult to go there, whether you're in a race or not, especially as we get older and especially like as we continue to have more and more comforts in life.
Mm-hmm.
you kind of start questioning like, well, I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
I don't need to go there. And you literally have to make that conscious effort of like, we're going there, right? Mind over matter. We're going there. And it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't click. Sometimes you're in a race, it's like, I can't do it.
And the thing is, it's only you that know. Like, and I know I've been there before where I have not given it 100%, where it's like, it hurts. I'm not gonna push any harder. This, like I said, this race, I was really proud of the fact that I did go. I definitely went there, and I think a big factor. Thursday mornings, we get there a fair amount. Like, some of these workouts are really hard, and again, I think I've trained that aspect of things. Like, obviously the fitness is changing, and I feel like I can handle those paces better. But I've been there before, like on the track on a Thursday, and have responded to it, and like not given up, not dogged it in on the last rep. And I think that's why I was able to do it, like carry that over into the race.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Again, it's if you've never done it or you never do it and you get in the race,
you have to practice it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like anything.
Yeah.
Not only that, I thought about this on my last long run. I thought the radar looked good, but it wasn't. I was starting to get soaked, and we saw last fall in the Columbus Marathon, and I'm just thinking, there's times where on a Thursday for Dadletics, it'll be raining, it'll be snowing, but we show up. Unless it's probably lightning.
Yeah.
Even then, I'm pretty much showing up, just because in that race, like last year, you're getting rained on because you can't guarantee you're not, and it's not one of those like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can hit paces in this rain. It's like, well, no, we've done this before.
Yeah.
We know I can hit. I know I can hit pace because I've done it in downpouring rain or whatever it might is.
Yeah.
Same idea. It's like, if you can practice that and the race shows up in the race, like, you can do it.
And I feel like I would make excuses and be like, oh, I don't want to like over train or go too hard. And like, I was like, I feel like I always would be like, oh, I can turn it on race day. Like, the race will be different. It's not different. Like, you have to practice that mindset and that mentality as often as you can. I mean, not every workout has to put you in a hole or, bury yourself, but there's moments in time and moments in workouts where it's like only you can make that decision to continue to push or find that last gear that if you don't practice it or you get good at giving up at that point, like, that's what's going to happen at the race. And I know that because I've experienced it and I've done it myself. And I think like this, like I said, the biggest shift like for this race specifically was those workouts where it's like, I'm not going to give into that. Like, I'm going to chase you around and try to push that last little bit. And so I think that was a huge, like, one of the intangibles that you wouldn't necessarily think about from like a fitness standpoint that made a huge difference on race day.
I'm also interested to see your mindset around the Dadletics community, because I thought it was cool for me to see our group text, and while you were running, everybody was commenting and they were watching you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
that we've built this community of all these people following you. I didn't know what I was really watching. From a triathlon standpoint, but it was just cool to see all these people following in the group, and then afterwards congratulating you, talking about it. And I know there's times, even just in my training, where I may be having self-doubt or not knowing, and I'm like, well, no, I know the group's going to see this on Strava. And not that it's everything to me. It's not like I'm not going to do it or I'm doing it for somebody else.
Yeah.
But there's still a piece of you of like, well, I can't let them down, or I know other people other than my wife or my kids who are going to love me regardless. And it allows you to give in maybe to the comfort, because it's like, well, they're going to love me no matter what.
Yep.
It's the community of guys that I train with, I work with, that I want to show up for, and I want to go to that dark place to represent them. Did you have any of that?
Totally. I mean, seeing that after, like, I didn't have my phone that whole morning, but seeing that group text after the fact, I think I had like 90 something text messages, which was like, dude, that got me. Like, honestly, like, I was so appreciative of everybody's support in that moment, and like knowing like this was a big thing that I was like gearing up for, and it was important to me to see like the community rally behind me like that was, dude, it was cool. But yeah, I mean, to echo that, I mean, on these Thursdays, like part of it is you're showing up because like you're meeting a group of people there that are going to be putting in the same amount of work and working hard. And I said it in that group text, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without the group. Like I've never been able to push this hard in training. Like until we started training together pretty much last year, you never can without support. Like, I mean, you can find a gear and even like self-motivated people, you're never going to hit the same level that you would with a group of people.
Agreed.
And I think that's one of the biggest like pieces of this whole like this training block and the community that we're part of has been so cool to see.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and I hope it continues to grow.
Yeah,
and we continue again. This fall is going to be amazing. The amount of people that we have signed up with the races.
So fun. Yeah,
but I think we're going to continue to see this evolve. You know, Granger's doing the half marathon or half Ironman.
Yeah.
You know, next year it'll be great to see us be able to help him. You help him, see his progress, just to see the growth.
Yeah.
I mean, Marty mentioned today he's lost 16 pounds.
It's crazy.
Hasn't drank in like 60 days. He looks amazing. I can't wait to get him on strength program.
Shout out to him today in that workout.
Dude, he kept up with you.
I know. Like he did 6K, 6x1K, right on my heels the whole time, which was, I mean, I've always known, I mean, we've been friends for a long time. I've always known him as a very competitive person and a great athlete. And I knew there was only a matter of time until he started to like get that fire, and I think he's got that fire back now, which is so cool to see.
Yeah, and it's amazing just to see the growth. Obviously, we're able to see his grow quickly, but it's going to be fun to continue to get to know more and more people. Because again, I mean, last January it was just 3 or 4 of us, right? So we didn't have all of these different stories being told or that we get to live and see. So I'm hoping that this core is truly this 10 to 12 people, and we get to see their progress, and a lot of it we'll get to see their results this fall, which is a great segue to this fall, because you are now done with this triathlon. What is next?
I'll be doing the Columbus Half Marathon in the fall, coming for that sub 130, which has been, I mean, we had the same goal last year going into the fall, and I still haven't got it yet. You crushed it earlier this year, so that is something I think. I mean, as motivated and as excited I was for this race, like had this circled for a long time. I think if you ask me like straight up, like what am I more excited for, or what would I choose to perform better at, it would be the half and fall. So I'm ready to put in a big like next 9 weeks, and kind of shift like some of that triathlon fitness into more running specific fitness, which are different things, but there is some good carryover there.
And again, this is highlighting the community.
Yeah.
If it's not for you and I being together, and you're still just kind of doing your own thing solo, which it pretty much was.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And this is the first time we've had a community of endurance athletes. You may not have that same feeling.
Totally.
Right? You may not be motivated to sign up for that. Obviously, it seemed like you had motivation to continue to sign up for the half Ironmans, but to have that motivation is partly because of the community, right? And focusing truly on running, because I asked you, it was like, when have you ever committed just to a running block?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, no.
Yeah.
Because it's always been other modalities. And I said, well, why not?
Yeah.
Why not challenge yourself to that? It's, again, 9 weeks. It's going to make you a better runner. It's going to push you to be a better triathlete. So I'm excited. So what are we thinking from a volume standpoint?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, recently, with the other training, I was probably getting in anywhere from like 12 to, I think the most I've done in the last probably 8 weeks has been 24 miles. But I have a history of being like pushing beyond that. So I feel confident going to, like, even as early as next week, going up to 30 miles. I would not recommend that for everybody, but I think I've been running consistently for the last 6 years. And so it won't be a big jump for me. Like, I've been there before. I think that would be very, very doable. But ultimately, I'd like to probably get up in like the mid 40s. I think would be a good, like, reasonable spot to get to.
With some bigger long runs.
Yeah, for sure. And that's been, I think, the thing that has held me back in races, like in the halves that we've done in the last year, has been that muscular breakdown at the end, like that cramping. And I think the cramping is related to cardiovascularly, I'm there. Muscle endurance wise, I'm not there. And I think that's a big piece of the long runs, the long, like, more specific runs that I need to get in.
Yeah, and we've highlighted that a little bit in previous episodes, but again, highlighting this again, that just because you cramp does not mean it's nutrition.
No.
Now, it can be.
Yeah.
For some, possibly.
Yeah.
But it is neuromuscular. Mm-hmm. It is just pushing paces that you're not ready for.
Yep.
Again, a lot of times when you bonk in a marathon, it is, again, not because you didn't have enough sodium or electrolytes. It's really, you were just pushing, you were
training and pacing.
Your body wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
Those paces for that amount of distance.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to put some of that work in, and my plan is, because I'll be traveling some, like, later on in this block, which is going to be poor timing, but some Thursdays will actually end up being probably a long run for me, so getting 12 to 14 miles in on those Dadletics Thursdays.
Yeah.
But otherwise, trying to get some of those longer runs in between now and then on the weekends. So probably build up to, I'd like to probably get definitely 14, maybe 15 as far as, like, my longest long run would be kind of the goal.
Yeah, and for Cap City, when I went to 127, I was around 40 to 45 miles. Mm-hmm. I had hit 16 mile, mm-hmm. but I think, 13 to 15 mile long runs, I think, is plenty. I think it's truly the 40 to 45 miles is the bigger key to that.
For sure. Yeah, for context, I mean, like, when we did Cap City in the spring, I think the biggest week I did was 30 miles, and most of those were more like 24, 25.
Yeah.
So I just don't think I had the volume.
Yep.
Again, I think I had the aerobic side of things. Like, it didn't feel hard to hit those paces, but it was the muscle breakdown at the end.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get all in running Pat, Dr. Pat. So I'm excited to see what you're capable of, and you're not going to live and die by an hour and a half. That's the goal. Or we'll see where fitness takes us.
Yeah.
Cap City was a 132.
Yep.
And which is the best yet.
Yep. It was still PR, so I can't be mad about that.
And then this will be a good transition to what next week Dadletics is going to be. We're back to threshold. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, our thresholds had been 3x10, 2x15, and then we did a 30-minute threshold run 2 weeks ago. We're going back to 4x10, 2x20, and then we're going to finish with a 40-minute threshold, which will pretty much be the end of what that threshold is. So lights at the end of the tunnel for these thresholds.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about thresholds. I've just been hitting some distances and paces that are kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to PR my 10K.
Awesome.
I think possibly in the 2x20. Even with the rest, I think it's going to be...
Man, all right.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fast enough to possibly hit. We'll see. It'll be close. But the scaling of this going forward is going to be truly the rest. Mm-hmm. So I want you to do the 4x10. I want you to do the 2x20, but it's the rest in between that you can scale. So for me, I'm going to actually run with the group next Thursday, which I'm excited about because it's my back off week.
Yeah.
But for me, it's going to be the 4x10 with a 2-minute float, which the 2-minute float for me is going to be marathon pace.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and hit like 6:18s pace on the 10 minutes, and then I'm going to float at like 6:50s.
Man, that's going to be a big workout.
That's going to be a big workout.
Yeah.
But I'm loving the thresholds.
Yeah, that's good.
Loving the thresholds.
I mean, I think that is what will make that marathon pace feel much more doable and 100%. Much easier.
Put in the work now.
Yeah.
put in the work now. So
and you've had some good progress with that. I feel like. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that 6:18 was, 5K faster than 5K pace.
Yeah,
like that was a year ago.
Yep. I'm hitting paces that I just can't understand and can't fathom right now, and it's wild. This is week 3 of this block. Again, back off next week, and just how good I feel.
Yeah.
It's wild. I do think nutrition is part of it. I mean, I'm consuming a ton of food.
Yeah.
I mean, I sent you and Michael a text. I mean, I'm hitting almost 700 grams.
Jeez.
Which had been like
your carb loading day.
A carb loading day.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I mean, I think my carb loading, it's going to be like close to 1,000 grams.
Yeah.
But I'm hungry. Like, it's not like I'm not force feeding this. Like, I'm just constantly wanting to eat. But there's been some mental struggles because my body weight has increased.
Yeah.
But we also know, like, muscle, the more muscle you have, the more carbohydrates you can store. And I think it is one of those, I'm eating so many carbs, my body's just holding on to all of this. And at first I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm gaining all this fat. And it's like, well, it's not fat.
No.
But it's a little mental struggle. But I just like, well, I'm hungry. I'm absorbing the work. I feel amazing. And I'm getting faster.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, if I'm 5 pounds heavier, but I'm getting faster and I feel great, like,
that's all that matters.
Who cares, right?
Yeah.
But for someone that, like me, and I think there's a lot of people out there that do track their weight, like, it can be a little bit of a mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned it before. I mean, I saw running as a tool to lose weight. And it's not abnormal for people to gain weight in a marathon training block. I mean, So I think focusing on the performance side of things is the right way to go. Like, that's the thing. If you weren't performing in workouts, you were feeling sluggish or not feeling good, like, I would say, let's change something, but you're checking all the boxes.
Dude, I feel amazing. So knock on wood, we're absorbing the work, we're getting faster. So
I think it was a few weeks ago, to talk about imposter syndrome one more time, you were like, man, those paces feel fast. I'm like, well, you are fast, so you're going to be running fast paces. So yeah, I think that's just like, we all deal with it.
We all deal with it at some point. Yeah. But you just keep putting your head down, keep putting the work in.
Yeah.
We know what we need to do, and we keep showing up, and at the end of the day, you'll be successful.
Got anything else?
That's all I got. That's a wrap on episode 9. As always, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time.